going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. We're going to kick off with some golf today. Don't normally kick off with golf, just do that for the end. Golf is going, oh yeah, update on the tournament. Oh, congratulations to this guy on this tournament. But there is shocking news when it comes to professional golf. The PGA Tour, the Live Golf Tour, and DP World Golf have merged together. They're going to be one giant company. We don't know what the name of it's going to be yet, but they have merged together. This is absolutely shocking and groundbreaking. The Live Tour was created in 2021, about 2 years ago. It is backed by the Saudi Arabian government. There's been positives and there have been negatives to it. The positives are it's another outlet for professional golfers because they give these golfers a ton of money. They give them $100, $200 million contracts. The purses are bigger. I mean, like the total amount of money that you can win is larger than what you can earn playing on the PGA Tour. You play in less events, so you can make more money playing less events. Of course, that's a huge advantage for professional golfers. And you play 54 holes instead of 72 holes. The tournaments are only 3 days long instead of 4 days long. So overall, you're making more money playing less time. You get to spend more time with your family. Come win-win. The problem is that it's backed by the Saudi Arabian government. The country of Saudi Arabia has several human rights issues. I'm not going to get into them. You want to know them, look them up. Anybody watches probably knows what I'm talking about. It's very well documented, and the Live Tour's actually been accused of sports washing, which is basically using sports to cover up something bigger. They basically think that the Live Tour was the Saudi Arabian government funded this tour to kind of hide their human rights violations. The headline is, oh, the Live Golf Tour, not all the human rights violations that the country has. But there have been a bunch of high-profile golfers that have departed for the Live Tour. The most notable one is Phil Mickelson. Of course, Phil Mickelson has got to be they kept the 152 years old. He's obviously very, 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 very well known golfer. He was the most outspoken about it. Of course, he had his slightly controversial comments he made. I think it was about a year or two ago that he made. He basically said, "Oh yeah, look, Saudi Arabia has got a lot of issues." He listed off basically every issue they have. But it's a great opportunity, so I'm going to do it anyway. It's kind of what he said. He got some hot water for that. A bunch of guys called him out. I think Nike paused their relationship with him. But a bunch of guys have followed. Brooks Koepka, who's one of the best players in the world. He became the first Live golfer to win a PGA Tour event. The PGA Tour president, Jay Monahan, he originally had revoked their tour cards, but he said they couldn't play in the event, but if they qualified, they could play in the majors. So that's why these guys like Brooks Koepka could play in the majors. Brooks Koepka just won a major. He's won the PGA Championship at Oak Hill 2 weeks back. Koepka departed, Dustin Johnson departed, Bryce DeChambeau departed. All these guys, of course, are top players in the world. Patrick Reed's a really good player. He departed. Sergio Garcia is a guy. He's a former Masters winner. He's been around a long time. Always in the Ryder Cup. He's there. Bubba Watson, who's won the Masters twice. He's on the Live Tour. I believe Cameron Smith, who has gotten close to winning a major a couple of times. He's over there. The Live Tour has a lot of big-time PGA guys over there. And this is a very, very weird because for the longest time these two were enemies. As of 9 o'clock this morning, these two were enemies. I'm actually going to invite someone onto the speaker right now, so we'll see what they have to say about this. I was shocked. My favorite basketball player. I'm a Knicks fan. Probably Jalen Brunson. Yeah. You're a LeBron guy?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I was ball.
I see. So Who am I speaking to again? The one is the one, the Lebanese James. Okay, okay, Lebanese. Let me ask you. Do you follow golf at all?
Like how the creator goes?
Like, do you follow professional golf? No, like I mean, like the
Like the creator.
no, I mean like golf, like when you like
You know what
not really. I'm actually trying to ask you about like PGA golf because the PGA Tour and the Live Tour just merged. I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on that.
I'm
Who?
True rock.
Jerry Rice?
Yeah. Boy, boy,
I don't think we're even speaking the same language, man. I'm talking about professional golf. You know, like when you hit the little white ball at the club.
he's actually
Okay, I'm just gonna. Okay, let's remove him. Okay, all right. So they're not speaking anymore. I don't know what the heck that is. Let me see. Can I ban him? Yeah, let's report him and move. How do I report him? Block and remove. Okay, so whoever the hell that was is gone. I don't know what language he was speaking. I tried to ask him about you asked me who my favorite basketball player is while I'm talking about golf. Which look, I don't mind bouncing around. I've had people call into the show and talking football and like, hey, I want to talk basketball. Sure, and I don't mind. They're a little bit more professional than that, but she comes in who asked me her basketball player, so I gave him Jalen Brunson. I mean, he kind of put me on the spot. He's one of my favorites, though. You all know I'm a big Knicks fan. You saw what Jalen Brunson did this year. He started talking, saying his is LeBron, and I asked him his name. He said, like, I'm the one. I'm like, your name is the one. So he said his name was Lebanon James or something. I don't even know what he was doing. And then I tried, like, all right, let's try to rein this guy in and ask him what he thinks about the PGA Tour. He started bringing up like Harry Styles. I'm like, no, professional golf. Like, oh, you mean Tyler the Creator? I think he's a rapper. I don't so bad at pop culture. Right? He's one of these newer rappers who I can't understand what they're saying. And I'm like, no, like professional golf, and you hit the ball, and then I don't even know what he was saying. Okay, I've been doing this show. I don't think how long. It's been well over a year. Now, this started as an audio-only podcast, probably like maybe 2 springs ago, maybe. And then I've been going in person for like over a year now. I'll see normally I'm in the studio when I'm at school, but when I'm home for breaks, I do it over Zoom so I can stay in person, continue to put content out there. I've had a bunch of people call in. A lot of times I know them somehow. Maybe they call into my show before. I've called into their show before. I've had some of my friends come on. You've seen Justin come on. You've seen Ashton come on. They've called in before. But I don't know. I didn't know who that was, but that was absolutely crazy. I don't know who that was, what language he or she was speaking, but that was absolutely wild. Anyway, let's get back to it. Shocking that the PGA Tour and the Live Tour have merged. I don't know what else to think. A lot of the PGA Tour guys are not happy. They've been on social media. They have voiced that. They did not tell the PGA Tour did not reach out to them and tell them this was coming. The Live Tour did not reach out to them until this was coming. Like, this is absolutely crazy. And we have they're the person who I just did that. They tried to request them back again. That's not going to happen. I thought I blocked and removed them. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, they've been blocked and removed from the space. Hopefully, they get the heck out of here. All right. Anyway, Yeah, a lot of the PGA Tour guys, they are not happy. They've voiced that, and I just think that they feel a little betrayed. The Live Tour really hasn't gotten the viewership they thought they would get. Like last year, that they would charge people like $3 a day to watch their events on YouTube. They couldn't get a TV deal with like a major network like CBS or Fox or anything. They got with the CW. So they either had to charge people to watch their events on YouTube, or they had to uh they were live on the CW, but that CW is not a very popular network. I'm not even sure if everyone gets it. And now all of a sudden they're merged with the PGA Tour. I think a lot of people feel like the PGA Tour was like, all right, we've always been against them. Shane Monahan, I'm shocked what he would do, as he was as against them as anybody that I've ever seen. It was almost like they were the ship was sinking, and the PGA Tour, came in with this big giant light bulb for them to all jump on and got them to safety. I think it's what the players feel like. You have guys who stayed loyal to the PGA Tour, were outspoken about it, and now they're merging. I think a lot of the players feel a little bit slighted. Personally, I think this is a really good thing for golf. There's been a lot of division in golf over the last couple of years. PGA guys going at live guys. They've clashed a lot, and I think now this is hoping to put an end to it. I really think what really happened. So there was a pending litigation going on between the two. I think neither side wants to go to court, because that would not be good PR for either side. I don't think either side wants to go to court for the reason I just said. It just wouldn't be good for either side. And I just think they're like, all right, they aren't, they don't like each other. The PGA Tour, doesn't like that it's backed by the Saudi Arabian government. They don't like what Greg Norman was doing. I'll get to him shortly. But the Love Tour, didn't get like, hey, well, why you keep coming after us? We're just trying to play golf over here. And I think part of them realized, this is not good for the sport. They both want what's best for the sport, and clashing with each other is not what's best for the sport. And neither side wants to go to court, so they thought, you know what, let's just merge. Let's end all this. We might not be the best of friends. We might not love each other. PGA Tour doesn't like what the Live Tour stands for. Live Tour doesn't like the PGA Tour keep coming after them. But if they merge, they can at least they can play on their tours. The PGA Tour guys and Live Tour guys can play on can play anywhere they want now. The guys that went to the Live Tour can reapply to be on the PGA Tour, and they can play in any event they want. I assume that means they can play on the Ryder Cup. I don't know if that went into them. You saw how dominant the American team was at the Ryder Cup not last year, but when they had it last 2 years ago, I think. That they do it every other year, and it looked like that. The Team America for a while was almost dominating the Ryder Cup by Team World. They usually win the President's Cup. The American team would usually win the President's Cup, but the European team usually win the Ryder Cup. And you saw how dominant the Americans were at the Ryder Cup last year. And you look at this team, most of this team is coming back. A lot of these guys are still really young. And now most of them left on the Live Tour. Now they couldn't play in the Ryder Cup. All of a sudden, that was over. Maybe Jay Monahan was like, how much do I want that? You got I think the Ryder Cup starts in the end of September. I'm not sure if that put into it at all. But I think the main reason why was both sides didn't want to go to court, and also they were just like, look, we might not like each other, but us clashing doesn't do us any good. That's not good for the sport. And like I said, the guys who defected to the Live Tour can now, playing all events on the PGA Tour. Guys who are on the PGA Tour, if they wanted to leave to Live Tour, they don't have to worry about possibly being publicly shamed by their peers, facing criticism. And now being worried that they can't play in the Ryder Cup or other PGA Tour events that they still want to play in. Because now they can go part of the Live Tour, but if they're on the PGA Tour, they can still play in the PGA Tour events that they want to play in. They can still play in the Ryder Cup if they want to. So I think it's a great thing for golf. I know guys aren't going to like it. Yeah, I'm sure Rory McIlroy is really upset. I have not agreed with his stance on this. One guy who I do like, John Rahm, who's one of the best players in the world in the PGA Tour. He's won multiple majors, I believe. He's obviously been great at the Ryder Cup. He did an interview. He said, look, I don't agree with it, and I'll never do it. But if that's what guys want to do, they're more than welcome to do it. I'm not going to shame them. That's the stance guys should have. Look, if you don't agree with it, doesn't mean that it's bad. But PGA Tour and Live Tour have merged, and the details are kind of coming out. I'm glad that they did this. I don't know Jay Monahan. I mean, I've been very against his stance on this the whole time. This is kind of a hypocritical move by him, but it is the right move, I think. So we shall see what happens. He invited everyone playing in the RBC Canadian Open, which starts this Thursday through Sunday, to anyone playing to a meeting at 4:00, and he better be prepared for a stampede, because I cannot imagine really any of the players from the PGA Tour are too happy with this. The only golf wrestling that's been happy really is Phil Mickelson, and that's I think we all know why. Right, with that out of the way, on to baseball scores. Rays over the Red Sox 4-1. Marlins over the Royals 9-6. Marlins can get some offensive production like that. They could easily be in the playoff. They're in second place in National League East right now. But Luis Arraez is hitting .399. I think he was hitting .392 through his first 60 games. I think those tied for the third best batting average ever. I think Joe Mauer, since 2000, the best batting average for a player through their team's first 60 games. I think Joe Mauer in 2009, that was the year he was MVP. Was hitting .415. I think somebody else was hitting .401 or something, or .405, and Arraez and somebody else was hitting .392. So he's been incredible. Arraez, he won the American League batting title last year. He hit .317 or .325 or something. And then the Marlins made a trade to send Pablo Lopez to Minnesota. It was one of their best starting pitchers for Arraez. The time double trade made sense for both sides. Twins are a pretty good offensive team, but don't have a great staff. They had a lot of injuries to their pitching last year. I recall the American League Central last year. Now they got a very good starting pitcher, a really good second or third starter, and Lopez, and the Marlins, who desperately needed hitting but had a surplus of young pitchers up and down their organization. They move one, and they get back one of the league's best hitters from Luis Arraez. Anything they can ask for. Norway's pitching has been phenomenal. Their hitting has not been good, but it's not on Arraez. He's hitting .399 right now. The last guy hit 400 over a full season was Ted Williams in 1941. I'm not good at math, but that was what? I think 82 years ago. I think that's what it comes to. I think my math might be a little bit off. They might be right, actually. It's been over 80 years, I think, since this has happened. He's a guy at 400, and Ryan has a shot to do it. Still very early. It's the first week of June. We still got the Marlins still got another 100 games left, but to be through 60 plus games, 61 or 62 games. Ryan's saying .399. That's crazy. I've never seen anything like this. The closest I ever saw, I think Daniel Murphy, his first year with the Washington Nationals, I think in 2016. So, that was because, remember, 2015, he had his best year with the Mets. He had that big postseason. Mets went to the World Series, and he left from the Nationals. I think he was hitting. I think at one point in like May, like early May, he was hitting 400. I think he finishing like 330 or 340 that year in 2016. But he was hitting like 400 in May. He eventually finished, like I said, 330 before. It's the closest I've ever. That's the furthest I've ever seen someone carry a 400 batting average in recent time. That was Dana Murphy, who I think was hitting like 400 in like maybe like the first or second week in May. And Arias is hitting nearly 400, and it's first week in June. Yeah, the other scores we had the Phillies beat the Tigers 8-3, Astros beat the Blue Jays 11-4, Rangers over the Cardinals 4-3, Pirates over the Athletics 5-4, Reds over the Brewers 2-0, and the Padres over the Cubs 5-0. Padres can bring a consistent offense to the table. They'll be as advertised. Problem is their offense has been surprisingly very inconsistent this year. Stanley Cup Final Game 2 was last night. The Golden Knights plowed through the Florida Panthers 7-2. Jonathan Marshall had 2 goals in the game. He's got 11 goals in this postseason. He's been absolutely incredible. Of course, he started to screw with the Panthers, and then the Florida left him unprotected, and Vegas took him, and he has been absolutely stupendous for the Golden Knights in his career. Brett Howard had 2 goals. He's a former Ranger. He came up with the Lightning. He was a top profit the Rangers got in the Ryan McDermott trade a bunch of years ago, and the Rangers thought he'd be something special. Never really turned out to anything besides a average 4th-line player. Yeah, and I believe so. They take him any expensive? No, I think the Rangers just flat out traded him to go a couple of years ago. And I haven't heard much of him, but he had 2 goals last night. And I think Barbershop Hannah says Vegas goes up 2-0. They have outscored the Panthers. I think they won 5-2 in the first one, so 12-4. Yeah, +8 goal differential in the first 2 games of the Stanley Cup Final. That's like the 3rd largest goal differential of all time. By the way, I have some breaking news for baseball. The Cincinnati Reds just called up Ellie De La Cruz, who is the 4th best prospect in all of baseball. He was tearing up a AAA shortstop. He was just promoted to the big league roster for the Cincinnati Reds. Yeah, Vegas up 2-0. I thought this would be a great series. You got the Vegas Golden Knights, who have had an overall great season. Had the best record in the Western Conference this year. Kind of plowed their way, to the conference final. In first round, I think they won in 5. Then in the second round, they didn't have that much trouble, I don't think. And then in the conference finals, they beat the Edmonton Oilers in 6 games. That's a team that their offense has been a little inconsistent this postseason. They have a really good scoring attack. They've had some games where they've put up some big numbers. Also, they've had some stretches where they've kind of gone cold. Their team that's really good defensively, and their goaltending's been really good. They've had a lot of injuries, but Aiden Hill, who's been their goalie for I think it's like the middle of the second round, has really stepped up for the Golden Knights. And you got Florida, who obviously is on the problem on 8 seed. They beat the Grays, for regular season hockey team of all time. The Bruins coming back and get 4-1. And then, they beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team that on paper probably better than them, in 5 games. And then they swept the Carolina Hurricanes, who had the 2nd best record in the NHL this year. They have just rolled their way to the Cup final. 2 very hot teams. You got Florida, who's extremely talented offensively. They can score a ton of goals. And Sergei Bobrovsky has been unbelievable. Shout out to head coach Paul Maurice for making the change after Alex Lyon played the first 3 games in Boston, struggled to go to Sergei, which I thought he should have done since game 1, and he has been unbelievable. He's when you have a hot goalie, you can beat anybody. He hasn't honestly been out of his chart this series. He's given up. He gave up 5 goals in game 1, and then game 2, I think he gave up the first 4. Far from all on him. I assume he's going to start. He will start game 3. And then we got Paul in the second period. The reason why he shouldn't, I assume that will be the case. But yeah, they two teams. It's kind of the battle of Florida's incredible offensive attack against Vegas is really really good defense. Defense in front of Aiden Hill. I thought if a lot of people were thinking, oh, could will Vegas run through them? I thought Florida is playing so well right now. Kind of like the Miami Heat, like in the regular season, they weren't that good. They were last in the league in points per game. They were like bottom 7 in 3-point field goal percentage. They got a lot of undrafted guys, and since the postseason, they've been one of the best offensive teams in the playoffs. They have the best percentage in the playoffs. Also, they're a great defensively. Jimmy Butler has been incredible. He's averaging over 25, almost 30 points a game in this postseason. Florida Panthers team, was mediocre. In the regular season, we thought last year after winning the President's Trophy, they lose in the second round, and then they get Matthew Tkachuk. Oh, this team is going to be a cup contender, and then they just barely even made the playoff as the 8th seed, and they turned to me the whole year they were not good defensively. They didn't have they had shaky goaltending. But in the playoffs, the defense has been much better. Obviously, they've gotten great goaltending from Sergei Bobrovsky. It's been much better. Their offense, as we all knew, been really, really good. They've completely turned it around. They flipped the switch in the postseason. But I thought it could be a 7-game series. I took Vegas in 7. I thought Vegas at times has had an inconsistent offense. I think if their offense plays up to their full potential, which they have at times this postseason, in this run, I think Vegas wins the series, possibly even in 5 or 6 games. I thought if they're inconsistent and if they had a 2 or 3 game stretch where they've had throughout the postseason where they struggled, I think Florida could possibly swoop in and steal a game or 2, if not 3, and win this series in 6 or 7 games. But so far, they've got 12 goals in the first 2 games, and they're off to a great start. And it looks like Vegas is definitely going to win the series. I don't see Florida coming back from that. They've just been completely dominated in this series. Game 1, it was 2-2 going in the third period. And then Vegas scored absolutely dominated in the third period, scoring 3 goals. And then last night, just complete dominance from the time the puck was first dropped to start the game. 7-2. Blew Florida out of the water. Since the third, over the last 4 periods of this series, Vegas is outscoring Florida 10-2. Yeah, so it's been pure dominance so far. But here's shifts back to Florida. This is one of those cases. If Florida gets both games at home, all of a sudden now they have a series. But even if Vegas gets one and they go 3-1 going back home in Game 5, I can see Vegas closing it out then. Well, not too much else, but I do want to talk about the FIBA USA roster. It's coming together. These are the guys who have accepted the invitation so far. Jalen Brunson, of course, from the New York Knicks. I mentioned him earlier on that very wild call with that very crazy caller. Tyrese Halliburton from the Indiana Pacers, Bobby Portis from the Milwaukee Bucks, Austin Reeves from Los Angeles Lakers, Anthony Edwards from the Minnesota Timberwolves, Brandon Ingram from the New Orleans Pelicans, Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Memphis Grizzlies, and Mikal Bridges from the Brooklyn Nets. Really good group so far. You had Jalen Brunson had a phenomenal year this year for the Knicks. Halliburton had a great year for the Pacers. You had a bit of a breakout year. Bobby Portis was a 6th Man of the Year candidate. Finals, Austin Reeves had a really good year. A lot of people were saying he could get a $100 million contract, and Anthony Edwards had a great year. A young player whose game I really like. Brandon Ingram's a really good player. Jaren Jackson Jr. just won Defensive Player of the Year. Mikal Bridges was a beast after getting traded to the Nets. It's a very solid group so far. I'm hoping they can get some little more size outside of Jaren Jackson. It's a lot of guards and wings. Either way, I mean, in the FIBA tournament, they should have by far the best team. Even if they're undersized, and it might not even matter. They should, based on this squad, they should probably roll their way to a championship or however that tournament works. Only other thing I had is the Colts cornerback Isaiah Rodgers is being investigated for gambling. He posted on social media something. He typed in his notes and apologized, so that he made an error. Apparently, he placed a bets. He placed the bets. He placed like a lot of bets. It was like I think like 100 bets or something like that. Most of them were $25 to $50, but there were a few that I think were in like the low thousands. They were like low. I heard like low four figures, so like probably about around $1,000. They took place in the Colt facilities, and a few of them were on the Colts. Look, the NFL really needs to. I think they should kind of pull back a little bit on the gambling with, because like my thing is, how's the NFL being allowed to partner with sports gambling organizations, but when their players gamble on when their players gamble, it's horrible. And you saw Calvin Ridley, who was away from the team. He was not traveling with the team, not practicing with the team. He was because he was battling mental health issues. He placed bets, on the Falcons to win, and he got a whole year. Jameson Williams placed a few bets, like random bets, nothing illegal. But because they were in the line facility, he got 6 games. Couple other guys on the line, CJ Moore and somebody else, 2 other randos, also got suspended. Some guy on the Commanders did the same. And now we're seeing Isaiah Rodgers, just some like backup corner for the Colts. Apparently, is being investigated. Like I just feel like obviously, if they're betting against, if you're an NFL player and you're betting for another team to win, all right, that's a little shaky. You don't want them, possibly the whole thing of like fixing games and throwing games come into play. You don't want like a Tim Duncan situation like the NBA had all those years ago. But if they're betting on their team to win or another sport, to me, that shouldn't matter. That's my take on that. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.